We're all aware of the fake MSM prostitute media, or at least we should be. The lies, the spin, the isolation of ideas, concentrated to fit either left wing, right wing, or middle of the road ways of thinking, making sure those who follow are kept within the framework of the politics that is produced on the theatrical stage comes selection time. There's MSNBC for those who fall into the left wing camp, Fox for those who find themselves on the right, and CNN for the minds who have leanings to each of the prescribed ideologies. If one looks closely, a common thread can be found among the large corporate dinosaur media outlets. That common thread is the unwillingness to tell the truth when information and events fly in the face of the ideological framework with which the news is presented. This is where the twist of events to fit such a framework comes into view. The integrity of all these MSM news outlets was and will always be compromised, as long as the people who run them have a need and desire to keep people in illusory cages that exist in the mind. The right hemisphere and left hemisphere thought is a manifestation of these ideological cages. In 2018, one can rejoice when seeing the MSM news outlets lose their viewership as people become more wise to their lies. There is a thirst for finding more accurate information, but I regrettably have to say, this thirst doesn't seem to come without an ideological framework still attached. Therein lies the danger of seeking the truth when it is still attached to an ideological message. Which brings me to my next question. What about the fake alternative media? Just because something is labeled alternative and denounced by the MSM as being illegitimate doesn't mean it's automatically steering people in the proper direction. This should be an obvious point to accept, but for many, this doesn't seem to be the case. The same ideological framework that exists in the MSM exists in the alternative media as well, and it's steering large amounts of people down the wrong path. Case in point is the selection of Donald Trump and those alternative media outlets who back him no matter what he lies about or what he continues to do. The alternative media has been a great weapon in exposing the lies pushed by the MSM, but now it's time for the alternative media to expose the lies and divisive content that is being propagated by other alternative media outlets.
So people are really concerned that something else is going on here, that we might see these actual spontaneous revolutionary protests hijacked by the regime change agents. And of course, let's not forget that just a few months ago, when President Trump was giving his speech there at the United Nations, where he was directly scolding Iran, he told them that it was only a matter of time before this regime would have to face off with its people who are sick and tired and they're ready for change.
Have we not learned from extensive research about the controlled two-party system and how it is there to create division as two opposing sides fight, bicker, and squabble about issues which are not paramount in changing the system in any fundamental way, especially when it comes to the debt-based economy?
It's all starting to come out, and the fact that the economy has been stabilized is the main reason they think they can't get rid of Trump, and that's why they're trying to get rid of the economy, while they're trying to say the president has accomplished anything, and the president's a loser, ignoring all the facts to kill confidence. And so that's really it. If they can kill confidence, and if they can kill the economy, and if they can kill this recovery, they believe they can string this Russia baloney out long enough to finally get control of the House so they can start the impeachment of the president.
Do we not know by now that filling the swamp with more Goldman Sachs and those who oppose things like legal medical marijuana are not making America great again? How can he be making America great again as he surrounds himself with ultra-Zionists and fails to expose the Zionist power structure which has pillaged the American people?
Let's go to Pat in New York City. Also wants to talk about Kushner. As I'm a shill, I won't talk about Trump and Kushner. Oh, I'm such a shill. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you just made the comment about no matter who we put into office, we get the same results once they're in office. So do you think that it might be good to do more exploration of exactly who is the real continuity of government behind all these administrations?
Well, I think it's tough. I think that it's tough. Probably more than half of the COG that we want to identify is just unidentifiable. It's behind a mask. It's behind international corporation. It's behind Exxon
And
getting
they're
a new
unelected.
pipeline into Syria. You know what I'm saying? So,
I don't think that's true, and I don't think you think that's true.
okay,
I think
then
you
what
just
exactly?
don't want to say it.
Well, what do you want? What are we missing, Pat?
Hey, could I break in
Well,
here for a second?
we're missing the PNAC picture, which they can change it from neoliberal to neoconservative to, Chabad Lubavitch or whatever, but it's the taboo subject that you don't seem to want to deal with.
What is it that you're saying we don't want to deal with exactly? Because you're here on the air.
The Zionist continuum that keeps controlling for their benefit.
So you're one of the people
instead
that
of-
thinks the Jews control everything.
Oh, hey, hold on. We
no,
have
I
we
don't.
have
let's
our
go.
resident
Hold on.
Jew.
No,
Let's
right
go to
now
our
you're
let's go to
doing
our
what you
resident.
Have we not realized that increasing the size and funding of the police and military goes contrary to ending the wars and reducing the size of the police state? Or is sending more troops to Afghanistan part of a 10-dimensional chess move?
That said, facts are facts. And I know once you quote the president, you're up there and you know what's going on, that things are a little bit different. And I understand that since we've been crushing, with Russia's help, ISIS in North Africa and in Syria and Iraq, that the ISIS fighters are now leaving to one of their last hideouts, and that is Afghanistan.
Isn't it a well-understood fact that warmongering and an actual war with North Korea isn't beneficial to anyone? And that the missile tests are done because of the American military threat positioned on North Korea's border?
I understand you can say we're ganging up on North Korea and the people hurt are the poor folks in it. That's true. I'm not saying you're wrong. But what about the dictators? What about the horrible, evil leaders of the nation? What are we supposed to do about them?
Alex, you're speaking for the neoconservatives. That's their line of talk of why we have to do this.
Shouldn't it be more apparent to the alternative media sites to not get embroiled and feed divisive issues that don't serve any purpose other than to continue to polarize already hate-filled groups, especially when there are grotesque overgeneralizations being stated?
Why do you insist that all Muslims shouldn't be collectively blamed for terrorism, but then collectively blame all Westerners for the actions of our governments in Muslim countries? Why do you insist that Islam is a religion of peace, and then threaten to kill me when I say it isn't? If Islam is a religion of peace, why does the Quran contain 109 passages that call for Muslims to wage war against non-believers? If Islam is a religion of peace, why do police keep finding huge caches of military-grade weapons in mosques across Europe?
And fundamental reasons for certain situations are ignored, like the immigration crisis? Isn't it the wars and the displaced people that are the fundamental reasons for immigrants pouring into Europe? Not to mention the funding, arming, and training of these radical terrorist groups by Western governments? Or is it just Islam is evil and dangerous? Seems like pandering to the lowest common intellect, don't you think? Outlets like Breitbart, InfoWars, and Drudge only serve to keep people locked in their ideological mindsets. As America becomes more divided, these outlets, along with their left-wing counterparts, only serve to continue the game of divide and rule, in my estimation. Instead of people adhering to loudmouth narcissists like Alex Jones and Donald Trump, there is hope people with a more principled philosophy will be listened to. A philosophy of non-interventionism, backed by morals, a sense of integrity, and discussing issues that can actually make a change, like dismantling the federal government and challenging the existing fiat money system controlled by a few. Or you can follow a morally bankrupt casino owner and talk show hosts who continually hawk garbage at you. The most amazing thing about existing on this planet is you have the choice. Which will you choose to awaken and hear?